Maybe you should watch this tomorrow. Yeah, how about tomorrow? Welcome to Men's Morning Lights. I'm Trapper Jack, the cure for procrastination. You know that thing on your, well, it used to be on your to-do list, not there anymore because you kept moving it day to the next day, then to the next day, and after a while, well, maybe next week, and then finally just eventually just fell off completely. Why? Because it's hard. You basically bumped up to, I don't want to. I don't feel like it. In fact, that was my, a couple of years back, that was my goal in when doing Exodus 90. In Exodus 90, it's this asceticism program and cold showers, and my goal now is to never do it again. But it was great. It was great at the time. But my why in going through this pain for 90 days was I wanted to break through the wall of I don't feel like it. I don't want to. Okay, you know when you go through those conferences, those motivational things, you come through and you're all ready to go, and eventually you stop doing it because why? You hit that wall. You get that. I don't want to. I don't feel like it. We call it when you know the idea is right, God given, if you will. You know this is a good thing to do. Maybe it could be something as an entrepreneur. It could be something about a relationship, something you need to do. It could be something to do with your health, nutrition, exercise, those kinds of things. Those things that I don't want to. I don't feel like it, right? And you go through conferences, you come out of it, and you're ready to go, and then you hit that wall, right? Sloth. It's such an old fashioned. Let me show you a sloth. If you're watching this, you'll show you a sloth. If you're listening to this, let's describe this lovely sloth hanging kind of upside down and just hang. But at least a sloth moves. It's slow, but it moves. You've seen this video. There's a video. It was done by a guy named Tim Urban. I know you've watched it because it has. I looked today, 50 million watches on. It's a TED Talk, and he talks about procrastination and how when he was in school, he had 1 year to write a 90-page thesis, right? 90 days, a 90 page. He had a year to do it, and it got down to 3 days. He hadn't written a word. And then he just, what is that? He calls it this monkey on your back, instant gratification. That's what we're always battling, isn't it? It's instant gratification versus something that's for the greater good. But we're so caught up in, I'd rather watch another episode of The Crown or whatever it is you're binging on. I'd rather eat something. I'd rather drink something. Look, there's a special on the series on YouTube on the sex lives of baboons. Now that looks good, and we'll go anywhere other than where we know in the back of our head we should go. Tim Urban calls that the dark playground. You're playing, but in the back of your mind, you're dying a little bit, right? You get into this self-loathing, this guilt, this you work your way into despair, hopelessness, because it just keeps playing. So you hear the devil's voice in that, don't you? You know that he's in there just kind of going, screw it, have a drink. Screw it. Watch another episode, And we actually applaud each other. I've watched all 47 seasons of Dalton Abbey or whatever it is, right? And good job. Nicely done. And meanwhile, that thing, and I'm not talking so much about the short-term procrastinations. Like yesterday, I got the idea for this for Men's Morning Light, right? And did I do anything yesterday? Nah, I'll work it out tomorrow, which is today. So the crunch is on. Well, I'll come up with something, right? So I'm talking about that longer-term thing that just kills us. That thing that's 6 months, 1 year, or it's that endless. How long has Trapper been going to write a book? I've started a multitude of times. Is it written yet? Well, nobody will die if I don't do anything on it today. That kind of thing. But you know it'd be for the greater good. Why is sloth a sin? Why is it considered a sin? It's considered waste. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your ability. You're wasting your talents. Ultimately, you're wasting your life because God is the one sitting there giving you the idea. Yeah, you really do need to work on that relationship. Or here's a great way to make a boatload of money in entrepreneurship and take care of your family and the world here. Or whatever it may be, or take care of your body. He gives you this idea, this spark, then he sits back, he doesn't force it on you or me. And he goes, well, and what we do is the catechism tells us what we're doing, we're rejecting God's love. We're rejecting his love, his plan for us. That's what we're rejecting. The Bible, especially in the Old Testament, talks a lot about, if you don't work, you don't eat. Well, that's not even true anymore today. Someone will take care of you, right? most of the time, at least in our country, right? But it also says things like, when it comes to sloth, you wicked, slothful servant, you buried that talent that I gave you. However, there's the other Bible verse that says, my good and faithful servant, you did really well in these little things. Now I'm going to give you some big things to rule over. It's part of his plan that he has given for us, this wonderful plan, all part of God's plan, and we're rejecting it by seemingly not doing all that. Well, it's just tomorrow. Tomorrow is such a great day, isn't it? And the devil is in our ear going just that. Yeah, it's a great idea, Trap. Fabulous idea. Yeah, tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning, you start working on that. Better yet, tomorrow afternoon. You actually have more time tomorrow afternoon. And it just keeps playing and playing and playing. So what is the battle? The battle actually is between cowardice and courage. Cowardice. Think about the cowardly lion, Wizard of Oz. He was afraid of everything, afraid of a shadow, afraid of a little dog. But what did he aspire to? Where did he realize the nobility was? Where the power was? Where the joy of life was? Courage, right? It's in courage. It's courage of taking a little step in the right direction versus the cowardice of not. In fact, somebody said this just a little while back in a homily. And it was, don't you love Father Mike Schmitz? This guy just hits it out of the park so often. He was talking about this particular issue. Let's just take a listen to what Father Mike Schmitz had to say about it.
You ever have those situations where, you just keep putting things off because it's going to be hard? So William Shakespeare, back in the play Julius Caesar, there's this moment where Julius Caesar, he's going to get assassinated. And some of his advisors come to him and they say, the portents are poor for you, that you shouldn't leave the house today. He responds and he says, a coward dies 1,000 times before his death, but the valiant taste of death but once. Think about that in your life and in my life. The coward dies 1,000 times before his death, but the valiant only dies once. And we know this. We know we need courage in order to die well. We need courage in order to live well. You ever have those situations where you keep not acting because you know it's going to be tough? You keep not doing what you know you need to do because it's intimidating, because it is, even in the small things. So we end up we don't make the phone call because I have to do that. I know I have to I just put it off. I put it off. How many times? 1,000 times. The coward dies 1,000 times before his death, but the valiant only has to die once. Or just get out the door. How many times are we held back from again, this is real life. This is where courage really is needed, not just in those great moments of martyrdom, but even these small moments of just, can I step foot out the door? Sometimes for someone to get out of bed is an act of courage. I know this is what I need to do. It's the only way I can be prepared to live. It's actually the only way that I can live. Just write the paper. Rather than realizing, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. We die 1,000 deaths. The coward will die 1,000 deaths before his actual death, but the valiant only has to die once. This matters. This life matters, that your choices matter, that what you do actually makes a difference. And again, this encouragement, this courage we need to have, it's from God. How we face this moment matters. How we face that moment actually makes a difference. Again, St. Paul says today in the reading, he says, I'm confident that you will have endurance in Christ. To continue to strive for the good, no matter how much it costs, that's endurance. To continue to strive for the good, no matter how difficult it might be to attain it, that's perseverance. To be ready, not only to die, but to be ready to live. I need hope, knowing that, okay, this matters. I need courage, knowing that I can do what matters. And I need endurance, because I know that I'm going to need to keep walking.
It's the idea. And it's so beautiful. Courage versus cowardice and dying. Do we relate to that or not? Every time it comes into your brain, the thing that we know we should be doing, this gift from God, this joy that he wants us to have, and we die again and again because I'm not doing the thing. I'm not doing the thing. And it's so sneaky. Sloth is so sneaky because you get that immediate joy, that instant gratification of, hey, Sex Lives of Baboons, this is fascinating, isn't it? This is as good as I can spend my time right now, right? And we just bury ourselves in other things while that other thing keeps playing on us, leading us to the despair and that hopelessness that the devil loves us living in. So what's the antidote? What is the antidote? It's doing the smallest, ittiest, bittiest thing in the right direction. And maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's buying a tool, that thing you've been going to do for your house for how long? Maybe it's exercising once. Maybe it's reading a page of something. Maybe it's Googling something. I don't know. Everyone's got their own thing. And I mean the smallest step. It's labeling a folder on your computer because this is the topic I need to do. Maybe it's doing a brain dump because I need every idea I ever thought of in this particular area. I don't know what it is for you, but it's one thing. It's the smallest domino. Where does this come from, by the way? There's a great book called The One Thing, because that's what you're looking for today. What is the one thing? Not 10, not the big picture. Go to the smallest picture, the smallest domino you can do, the smallest, and push it over. Because the next domino, which is a little bit bigger, will go too. But if you don't push over the first one, then nothing gets done. And the plan gets messed up again. This is all God's plan. This is the joy. This is what he wants for us. It's doing that one thing and pushing it over. And when you do, 1,000 deaths are done. You only die once. You only have to die that one time, that one domino, just the one time. And then you smell something. You smell victory. And you feel great. And you feel great. What's your one thing? As you think about the thing, everyone's got at least one thing. Don't and just pick one. I know there's 10 of them out there, but just pick the one. That one thing you want to get done, the one thing you need to do, and then pick the smallest thing in that and knock over that domino. All right? That is the answer. Courage versus cowardice. God bless you. And I'll see you next week after you take care of a thing or two. All right? On Men's Morning Live.